Did you see the Tony Khan's comments about Eric, Konnan?
Yeah, he was hypocritical or something like that.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and read it, Joe. I don't think I've read them in full.
So, just making his weekly appearance on Busted Open Radio Wednesday to promote tonight's show, Khan took a turn near the end of the show to address a fascination about a perception that every match on every show should have a long storyline built to what is taking place. It just doesn't need to be the case for every single match. Without mentioning them by name, he alluded to that being the case because of how WWE has put together their TV product over the last 20 years. He said there are stories and have been for the majority of the matches on his own TV product. He then took aim at Bischoff, who has appeared on AEW TV in the past and Khan once called a friend. Earlier this fall, Bischoff took specific issue with Khan's comments about how WCW would still be in business if Ted Turner knew half as much about booking as he did, which apparently fractured their relationship. Frankly, the person that has been the most incendiary, contradictory, and hypocritical on this entire point is Eric Bischoff, he said, explaining to him that the good WCW Nitros from 95 to 98 featured random lucha matches and other unexpected pairings. There was a certain exquisite randomness to the lineup of the card, he said. There were a lot of stories happening in WCW, but probably less than half the matches on Nitro had a story going into them, and that was fine. It was the industry standard show. He then said, WCW then copied the competition's method of doing things where every single match had to be happening for a reason. He said his own reason for a seemingly random pairing could be the start of something new or just a challenge to see who's the best in that given match. To see the person who probably put more cold matches on TV and did it successfully and did it well, say that it's an abomination to do it is pretty contradictory, Khan said, later adding, I definitely don't want to see fans get brainwashed into thinking there's only one way to do this just because they've seen it done one way for a long time.
What are your comments on that, Konnan? First, I'd like to hear what you think. What are your thoughts?
Bro, I just don't know. I don't think Eric is the enemy. Eric is very critical, and as a public figure, which you are, and the son of a billionaire, which you are, and somebody that's social media savvy, because I've seen him drag some NFL players where I'm like, wow, Tony can be, he can bring it. I cannot understand how a person of his age and intellect does not understand that everything that you say, people's not going to like, and everybody's not going to agree, and everybody's not the enemy if they disagree with you. There's a thing called, there's no substitute for experience. Listen to other people that have been there and done it. Not everything you do is good. Not everything I do is good. Of course, you take it personal because it's your life's work, but you have to be open-minded enough to understand that not everything you do people are going to understand or like, and they're not all going to agree with it, and everybody's not your enemy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Eric is his enemy. You know what I'm saying? Or being hypocritical. Just he's pointing out some flaws. I think he wants Tony to do good. I'm sure he wants Tony to do good. We all want Tony to do good. You know what I'm saying? But you got to listen to people. And, and there's a thing, I brought this up before, Disco. It's called crystallized intelligence. And the only way you get that type of intelligence is accumulating over the years, And so, you surround yourself with the smartest, best people. You listen to their advice and you make your decision. You got to listen to other people too, dude.
I think with the, I think the problem here is that, you'd very rarely see Vince McMahon on Twitter, right?
Right.
And I think what Tony, his problem is here is that, there is, you can't deny it. Okay. It's very obvious. And people like even Ariel Helwani points it out, because this is not a topic that doesn't exist. Is that, since AEW's come along, it's created a very toxic atmosphere with fans. Where there's definite polarization, they're choosing sides, and the AEW fans are very, the WWE like diehards, the WWE diehards, like the people that are fans of WWE, like spend a lot of time hate watching that show for years. You would just see like people would say, "Why on earth would you still watch a show if you hate it?" Right? Because it was just constant. Fans were going to the shows, trolling the wrestlers, booing angles and stuff. So it's a very, very toxic atmosphere. But since like AEW's come along, the WWE they're that toxic part of the fan base. Instead of like being kind of toxic towards the WWE product, now they've kind of turned and been okay. Now we have a new boogeyman to like argue to like. Direct our venom to the AEW fans, right? And the problem with Tony, I think here is instead of like staying out of that fight, he kind of dives into it on social media and gets involved in the If he hears criticism, he addresses it. If he and I think that's problematic. And he creates these things like these sound bites where he can't help himself. He doesn't handle criticism very well. Okay, and the problem is everybody knows this now. You could compartmentalize your stuff and keep it quiet. But he's kind of out there addressing criticisms, and I don't think
it just must be hard. This is a guy that grew up. He's a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
A true blue wrestling fan that we've never seen an owner like this guy ever. Never, bro. All the owners are, and you know that.
Right.
They were all, how much money can we make off of this guy? And this guy's different, bro. He's just a different breed. And when you're used to everybody riding your and telling you how cool you are and how good you are, and then all of a sudden people start burying you, like what probably Meltzer probably feels the same way, doesn't feel that good because you're so used to always hearing good. You know what I'm saying? But there's definitely, a very toxic atmosphere out there of fans that I think, Disco, were so pissed off that they grew up with WWE and WWE flipped it on them and gave them that they didn't like, that the moment they had an alternative, they were like, WWE, it's on, we hate you forever. And AEW is more kind of for nerds, bro. God bless them. They do some, and I just feel that even WWE is too, but they're more a little bit, I don't know if I would say cooler, hipper, but not as toxic, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But then the other thing too is that, this is specifically what he was talking about is, Tony writes 4 shows, right? Bro, I don't think Tony really understands when we talk. Eric's not saying, not every match needs to have a long storyline, right?
Right.
But your long storylines where you're putting on matches where people care about why they're fighting are kind of few and far between. Like that. I think it's just kind of we're talking.
Yeah, the build-up is never really that good.
Right. And your build-ups, bro, if you think that a minute promo on Dynamite to hype a match for Rampage is a storyline. That's not a storyline.
No, not only that, it comes up. They didn't put any effort. Hey,
right.
What's up? I'll see you Friday on Rampage. All right, I'll see you there too.
And that's the gist of
that. Really makes me want to see that fight.
And that's 95% of the promos.
Right.
Literally, they're all in some form or another. That and it's just saying, it's
that's why I love UFC, because a lot of people always say, oh, well, they don't defend the championships enough in AAA. Bro, one of the problems we've had is putting it on foreigners because it's hard to get dates on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it has helped us in other aspects. It has its pros and it has its cons. So that's why, I don't do championships all the time. I like to build up to it.
Right, like real sports do.
Yeah, like UFC.
Right.
So when, Islam was going to fight Oliveira, there's a good backstory there. You know what I'm saying? And it was built up until crescendo when you wanted to see it. Because it wasn't just going to be a good fight. Was this submission expert that had been beating everybody from Brazil, that he's probably the only guy that could get Islam on the floor and submit him. Well, let's see if he really can do that, because I haven't seen anybody beat the Dagestan clan,
Right.
Those, and so, and you build it up. You know what I'm saying? And WWE does that very well, bro. Real well. They're the masters at that.
Right.
They build it up.
Because here's what I'm going to say. If this is marketably different between the two companies.
And, bro, that doesn't mean we don't like AW. It doesn't mean we don't like Tony. That doesn't mean that we don't think he knows what he's doing. It is what it is. Compare it.
And this is constructive criticism, too.
Right.
From people that have done this before for years. And, the thing is, just to point, specifically what he said, bro, it's if you want to go back 25 years, wrestling was different because when the Lucha guys came on TV, we'd seen a certain style of wrestling for years, and we were accustomed to it. The guy, the generation of guys that didn't really do that much, tackle, drop down, hip toss, slam, So when the Lucha guys started, doing their thing, this was very original. It was like, wow, like this. You didn't really need like
but you know what I hate?
storyline. Go ahead.
But this is what I hate. It's like, bro, we all met through wrestling. Like I met you through wrestling.
Right.
I wouldn't have met you any other way. I met Tony through wrestling. I met Joe. Joe.
Yeah. Joe.
I met Joe through wrestling. We all met through wrestling. It's a cool community, bro.
Right.
But too many people want to it up, and I always, I say this, man. Let's strengthen this up. Let's show others how we do our in wrestling. Not too much toxicity, too much. Oh, you don't agree with me, so we're not going to talk to you. You don't put me over enough, so therefore you're the enemy. Dude, you can't take criticism.
Right.
That helps you grow.
You're in a critical spot.
Shows you what not to do the next time.
Right.
Well, Tony has a point, because one of the cool things about Nitro that I did like was the random match pairings. But for example, on AEW, it'll be two guys I don't know and don't particularly care about because you haven't given me a reason yet. On Nitro, it would be, hey, for some reason tonight it's Disco against Yuji Nagata. Well, there's no story there, but I know who Disco is. Or it's Konnan versus Norman Smiley. I've never seen Norman Smiley in my life, but I know who Konnan is because they've already given us reasons to care about you guys. The same thing I said last week when you guys asked me. The problem with AEW is there's too many guys they don't give us a reason to care about, except, hey, he was PWG champion, or he's this in Japan. He's a great athlete,
Right, or when they bring people in unannounced, like you're supposed to know who they are.
Right.
Can you imagine Disco? They brought a guy into UFC, right?
Right, and I had no clue who the guy, yeah.
Right, he's 12 years old, and he's from Poland.
Right.
He
doesn't speak English. Right? And it's like, we're supposed to watch because this guy's good, right? Yeah, right, exactly.
Who he is.
Right.
Get on YouTube.
Inform us. That's what you have commentators for, dude. That's what you have a production meeting for.
Right.
That's what you have video packages for. That's what you have B-rolls for. Inform your What's so hard about that?
No, it's not. And then
is that asking too much?
No, and the thing is like, I don't want to say it's like it is a problem. Bro, you've given like a lot of these guys.
Or the rankings, Disco. What does that even mean?
Yeah, nothing.
Well, that's like Pentagon got a title shot last night, and even AEW fans were going, I don't understand this really,
Well, and then you have to explain it. Well, because he was, he's so, so. But the thing is, I want to make a point here, is that the show last night, it just shows you, this is where you're lacking in storylines. Like all these minute-and-a-half promos in the back to go towards the drive towards the match on Friday on Rampage, right? They're very generic, except there was a couple that had like character development. Like Darby Allin's promo was like he was good. Telling a story. Like, okay,
I like
that. Right, that was interesting because he's saying, "Hey, the reason my problem is I'm my own worst enemy.
Right,
I can't control myself. So you're here, you're caring about the guy.
It sounded authentic too.
It sounded authentic.
Yeah.
But the other ones are like, hey, if you, why do you get the title shot? I'm the one that gets the title shot. I'm going to beat you like the Wardlow one. I'm going to, like Matt Taven in the Empire. It's like, who are you? Okay, this guy. Hey, I'm Matt Taven. I'm the youngest
Ring of Honor champion.
It's like, and then Wardlow's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson in how you're going to go to the Powerbomb Symphony. It's like,
what if you never watched Ring of Honor?
Right, exactly. Right. So it's like, you need, but these guys are having their own creative freedom. Darby Allin had creative freedom there, and he told a story about himself to try to get you to care about him, bro. If the wrestlers, you guys got to own kind of your segments.
Of course,
you got to
your
be
career. It's your character.
You got to be interesting on your own. And it's like another one was interesting, but it was a weird promo. Was the Eddie Kingston promo?
Yeah, like, bro, that was brutal.
It was brutal, but it was like, what's going on in these guys? Is he like losing his mind? Is he like, like a mental health issues?
Right.
Because I'm like thinking like, okay, this is kind of interesting, but it's a weird promo, but it's not, hey, I'm going to see you Friday on Rampage.
Right.
And stuff, it's like, okay, I want to see this next promo and see what happens there. What was going on there with that? You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think there was anything going on with it. That's just it. But either way, it was very uncommon. Yeah, you're very right.
But that's storytelling.
That stuck out. Yeah.
Because you're getting me interested in what's going on with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So and then a lot of the guys are just, they're wasting their time in these promos just talking about the match and I'm going to beat the guy and stuff. Nobody cares. You got to make like so it's whatever. All right,
so what are the things? What are the things? Because this is we'll put this on the show and
why haven't you bought your stunner shades yet, Joe?
I've been shopping.
Your YouTube check.
I've been shopping around.
Haven't you seen the videos on social media? You can't go outside in Philly because there's crime. There's hope.
Yeah, man. So bright in Philly, I gotta wear shades.
Right? Yeah. You can't go shopping. You can't. Right? Yeah.
Because this will go on YouTube or it'll go on sites like Konnan and Disco Berry, whatever. So let me just before this ends, let me say when you put on Dynamite, even though we're gonna do a
But
review,
we're not bearing anything.
No, I know,
Right.
but I'm trying to get end it on a little positive note. When you guys watch Dynamite to review, who are the guys that they come out or the girls where you go, oh, this is going to be good?
Like not many.
Jericho Society,
MJF. I mean,
Moxley,
MJF.
Moxley.
I mean, for me,
Yeah,
it's right now. It's just MJF.
not even
Like the stuff that I have, like I'm invested in, and like a continue, like a character that I'm invested in every week. I want to see what he does.
Mhm.
Like the other stuff is just like, all right, these guys made a match last week, and now here it is.
Okay, how
You know?
about you, Joe? Who are you
I always enjoy the
man or woman.
I always enjoy the Jericho segments. I like the Jericho Appreciation Society.
He's always
and
shit, bro.
yeah,
This guy's learned the art of shilling like no other. He is doing that purposely, so Jericho will bring him on his show again or
And,
give him backstage tickets.
and
Go ahead.
of course, and Moxley. But I've been a Moxley fan since it's the NXT days. So I've always liked his stuff. MJF is great, and but yeah, the rest of that is almost like it's like a lot of filler to me. Even though there's good performances in the ring and stuff, I'm not invested.
This is what's sad, bro. I used to actually watch the show to see what Adam Cole was doing. He's never on the show. I like, obviously, MJF is our boy. We love everything 2.0 is doing. I kind of like, because I know him very well, I kind of always like to see what Sammy's into because he always seems to annoy people and be in trouble. But he's actually a very good kid. But yeah, there's not much that I'm really... Jericho's hit and miss. Some of it can be really good. Sometimes it's like, it's a little too much, my friend. But, it's hard always being funny and always being creative for so many years like Jericho has. The guy's he's incredible, dude. That's all I can say.
A quick question. Sorry, Disco. Do you guys keep an eye on Impact at all? Well, Konnan, I'm sure does.
Yeah, I watch Impact every week.
Yeah, former show contributor Frankie Kazarian is actually going after the Impact title over there in a pay-per-view next month. So maybe we can get him back
and
on.
He still has a delicious tan, and he looks great in a suit.
Yep.
Bro.
And he posted. Did you see that on Twitter that it's an anniversary of the 5 guys in the back of the bus?
Oh, did he?
Somebody tweeted to Joe. What's his name?
Joe Legend.
We've
Joe
never
Legend
had
and Frankie tweeted. Spider Nate Weber all tweeted about it.
That's funny because it's also 16 years since the Reverse Battle Royal. I saw today. Yeah.
Exactly.